Now, related to arrays and objects, there are two crucial, relatively new and modern JavaScript features you should know because you will also see them quite a bit throughout the course. And the first feature is about destructuring arrays and objects. For that, let's take a look at this array. An array that contains some username data, the first name and the last name. Of course, it could be stored in an object, but here it's an array. Now let's say in our code we want to work with both the first and the last name. Now what we could do to make that a bit easier is we could create a new constant or variable called first name, where we extract the first element of this array, which is the first name, by using index 0. And then we could add a last name where we also use username data and we use index 1 to extract the last name. This could be done, and from now on we could use first name and last name, which is a bit more meaningful than always working with username data 0 and username data 1. But this code can be shortened. Instead of using this code here, we could create these two constants or variables in one single step by adding square brackets here on the left side of this equal sign. On the right side, they will create a new array. On the left side, they will destructure that array, which simply means that this syntax can be used to pull values out of this array. And now you can define new constants or variables with any name of your choice here, and the first constant or variable here will be mapped to the first array element, the second one to the second element, and so on. And this is a super useful syntax, since this of course is way shorter to write than what we had before. And from now on, I can also console log first name and console log last name and use these constants like this, even though the original data is in an array. But due to restructuring, we can pull out these values and store them in separate constants or variables. So if I reload this page here, I see Max and Schwarzmuller here in the console, because of these two constants that are created with help of this destructuring syntax. Now this destructuring syntax also exists for objects. We cannot just use it for arrays. For that, let's say we had a user object that looks like this. Now again, we might want to store these values in separate constants or variables. For that, of course, we could create a name constant and store user.name inside of it, and a age constant and store user.age inside of it. That would work. But again, this can be shortened here. Instead of writing this code, we can again use destructuring, in this case, since we're dealing with an object, by writing curly braces on the left side of the equal sign. On the right side, they will be used to create an object. On the left side, they are used for destructuring, just as we used square brackets on the left side for destructuring an array before. Now we're using curly braces to destructure an object. And then here we can pull out name and age, though these names here are now not up to us. Instead, we have to use the field names that are defined in the object. For array destructuring, these names were up to you because the elements were pulled out by position. For the object, they are pulled out by name, so by property name, and therefore you have to use the same property names here. Though you could assign an alias by using a colon here and then defining your alias name on the right side of that colon. When creating an object, so when using the curly braces on the right side of the equal sign, the colon is used to separate the key of a value, the property name you could say, from the value that's stored under that property. When using curly braces on the left side of this equal sign, so when using them for destructuring, the colon is instead used for separating the property that's pulled out of this object from the alias name that should be assigned to it. And with that here, we could output username and age. And we would be using these destructured values for that. So therefore, again, if we reload this, we would see these values here. And this destructuring syntax really is a crucial JavaScript feature, which we'll use a lot throughout this course, and therefore now you know about it.